Hello and welcome to another episode of the Full Force Weekly, brought to you by Generals Joe's Reborn.com with me, Christopher McLeod AKA Diagnostik80. For today's episode, I'm joined by the awesome Patrick Notpicard Stewart and the General himself, Justin Generals Joe's Bell. In this regular video series, we round up all the week's news in the world of G.I. Joe. What is it all together at the same time?
It's
the Full Force Weekly. We kind of did that at the same time.
That wasn't bad.
I'm impressed. Oh, well, that's less editing for me to do. Sorry, Pat. I know you love having that spotlight.
Well, I was just kind of paused in the middle of it because I started talking and I didn't hear anyone else. So I went, it's Full Force Weekly. And then, like, awesome, it was all together. It wasn't, you just listen to me, it wasn't all together.
Well, we've covered your mistakes up there, so that's fine. Guys, lots of news this week. That's why I've got both of you on, because I want more work to do. And then, not just that, but we get something like literally on our laps the second we record. So we'll get to that. Yeah, we'll get on Justin's lap. We'll get to that news actually towards the end. We've also got Justin on to do a little bit of movie news with us as well, so looking forward to that. Right then, lads. Well, how is everyone first before we get into it? How are you, Pat?
I'm doing okay. You know, I was awake early enough today to, you know, well in advance of recording, which is not always what I am. So. Also, I noticed Justin didn't get our memo, Pat, about wearing Arashikage.
Yeah, clothes. No, I don't even have it underneath. I'm completely out of dress code.
Absolutely, massively let down. Have you come as version 4 Snake Eyes? Is that what's happening?
Yeah, why not?
Pat is
or Storm Shadow with the hood. I mean, it couldn't either way.
Yeah, what was that? Was there a blue one? Was there a blue Storm Shadow?
There wasn't.
Shadow Ninjas.
Yeah, that's
and then there
blue.
Wasn't there like the Ninja Force repaint that was some strange during the New Sculpt era, some strange shade of blue, maybe a canceled Walmart exclusive.
I want to say that it was like a kind of deep navy blue or like kind of darkish blue, wasn't it? Anyway,
it was Walmart parachute.
Yeah, that's the one. Yep, exactly. Yep.
Nice. And yeah, I will actually add the Shadow Ninjas artwork is all blue, isn't it? And that looks well gorgeous. If you look at the Shadow
Ninja,
like me.
Yeah. So I guess I am Shadow Ninja. So I'm well gorgeous.
Well gorgeous, Justin Bell. Okay, enough of this banter. Let's get into the first news story of the week, and that is in Flame Toys news. Last Sunday, an image courtesy of Mike Torres emerged showing that the Flame Toys Snake Eyes model kits revealed last year are finally hitting targets in Southern California. The image also gives us our first look at the packaging with a very awesome shot of the completed model kit in an industrial setting, posed out ready for some good old-fashioned ninjaing. The set will be $39.99 and feature tons of weapons and accessories, as well as being pre-painted for a sort of beginner's level of model kit making. It's all snapped together, so no glue is required, but you will need a set of nippers, or wire cutters in the UK. Nippers means children where I'm from, and the last thing you want near toys is kids. Am I right, lads? Yeah?
Yeah. Toys aren't for kids.
Especially G.I. Joe. The figure ends up having 40 movable joints according to the D4 Toys website, which makes this effectively a build-it-your-own action figure. A build-it-yourself action figure. I don't know where your own came from. It would be a good idea to start checking your local Targets over the next few weeks if you are interested in grabbing one of these. The figures, which come in at just over 5 inches tall, have been available for pre-order for a number of months now, along with the Storm Shadow and their sold separately motorcycles. But with the extortionate shipping costs, it turned a lot of us off buying them initially. Thankfully, now we are getting them at retail. It becomes way more affordable for US consumers, and I will add that they have been on BBTS as well in between that time. I might have to pick one of these up next time I'm combing the aisles of Target looking for reinforced Grundle underpants. I mean, classified figures. Guys, do you have issues with your underpants? No, actually, I'll stop that. What do you think of this Flame Toys model kit, Pat?
We covered it kind of before. I think my feelings on it really haven't changed. It looks pretty decent.
Like the packaging?
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate the fact that it really shows what the thing should look like, roughly, once it's finished. I would rather have that than some sort of art to go with a model kit. You know, I want to have, with a model kit, I definitely would want to have an idea of what it's going to look like finished, because you're not seeing the actual toy itself clearly because it's not been built yet. So yeah, it looks all right. I think that it would be more about the fun of building it than the fun of having it as an action figure, I think.
Are you getting one of
I
these?
don't know. I don't think I'm going to, no.
Okay. What about you, Justin?
Yeah, I think it looks really fun. I'm not sure I will dip my toes into this particular line, but you know, I say that, but then you know when I'm you know whenever I end up going to Target again, at some point in the far and distant future, if they have it on shelf, I don't know, maybe I'll be convinced. But I'm not. You know, models are, you know, they're okay. You know, they don't. Yeah, I guess they're all right. I've never been a real model building sort of guy, and I would think that'd be part of the appeal of this figure. Otherwise, it's just, you know, it's another 6-inch figure. You know, it is pretty stylized. I kind of like the sort of exaggerated proportions. That sort of look is pretty cool, but you know, it's just, it would be kind of a one-off, and I really, or if you got Storm Shadow, I guess a 2-off. But
and the motorcycles a 4-off.
A 4-off, yeah. There you go. Yeah, I don't feel like I really need it.
I'm enlarging the picture and seeing that this isn't the model kit, though, that is on the art. It looks like it's been airbrushed over, isn't it?
Actually, it's from a pose of a picture of the actual model kit itself. If you go to D4 Toys website, the exact same image is like on a like, you know, in like a normal setting, just as the model kit.
Looks as I look closer to the picture. I mean, I guess I'll have to look at it in person. I just don't see any joints at like the elbows and shoulders.
I imagine they might have done some touching up on there, but yeah, there is an image on D4 Toys which is almost identical, like the same pose, everything. They've probably they've probably taken a lot of liberties on the front, haven't they, to make it really like pop and kind of look sexy. And that's, let's face it, we've covered this like ad infinitum, but it's out there. You can probably find them in Targets now. Like I said, $39.99. If you're into it, go for it. I mean, I kind of grew up. My grandfather made a lot of models, so he made a lot of like airplane, like World War II, all those kind of like amazing kind of model kits. And so I'm into it in a certain sense, but this is probably going to be like an impulse buy if I'm in Target and if I see it and I'm like, oh, do you know what? That's pretty cool. So that's probably how that's going to happen if it does at all. Still think they're really neat though, and a cool little idea. And the fact they're kind of like super articulated makes me think, damn, that's pretty impressive for a model kit, considering like, you know, most model kits you just put them together and that's it. You know, they're glued in place kind of thing. But yeah, this is kind of like intriguing me. I want to see it in like actual reality.
Yeah, I guess it would be interesting to see kind of how posable and playable it is even after, you know, it's essentially, it's a model kit. So I mean, you're assembling it and then
Sergeant Slaughter's legs just like flop in at the bottom like that. Yeah.
Yeah, or does it? I mean, I guess the engineering component of it would be pretty cool to investigate. You know, can they bridge that gap between a model kit sort of thing and having it actually be a posable and functional and playable action figure?
Yeah, so I don't know. I probably am intrigued enough to see what it's like. Anyway, that's enough for Flame Toys because we have covered it so much recently. Moving through then, and in London Toy Fair news. So on Monday, HISSTANK reported that Hasbro, fresh from their retreat out of New York Toy Fair over pandemic issues, which was later cancelled anyway, have also backed out of the London show, which took place this past week. London Toy Fair is the only show from the Toy Fair family that went ahead this year. A number of Hasbro license holders attended, including Jazzwares, Tomy, Basic Fun, Heathside and Ravensburger, but we haven't actually seen anything Joe related come out of the show just yet. Obviously, it's not really the time, is it, for Toy Fair? Let's face it. But it still went ahead without some of the big names. Didn't really see anything Joe related though, and London Toy Fair is actually, even to this day, is very famous, or like, you know, very well known for not revealing any images until about a month later. I've got mates as well that went to this, like, you know, Paul Hitchens at the Space Bridge was there. The guys from Old and Vintage Toy Shop in Leicester were there. So like there were people there, but I don't think anything really came out of the show. So it's a bit disappointing that in that sense, isn't it, Pat?
Yeah, I think I remember, weren't the domes G.I. Joe figures shown at Toy Fair, I think last year or the year before?
In fact,
we kept on not seeing pictures of them.
Yeah, that's true. It was at they had them at both toy fairs, I think. I think in London, HISSTANK reported that the London Toy Fair, they actually had G.I. Joe related stuff that they were showing people behind closed doors. Do you remember that? And
Well, I thought that the toy fair where they were showing people stuff behind closed doors, there was like the Jada Toy stuff, and they were like, that stuff wasn't supposed to go online, but then
That actually happened at regular toy. Yeah, that happened at regular toy fair. Yeah, but
I don't remember the domes and stuff like that ever showing up online, even though they were shown in London. I remember being very curious about them for a while, and then finally we got to see them. I think at the regular toy fair, was it?
Yeah. No, the domes actually came out it was like on a pre-order on BBTS or something along those lines, and that's how they were.
Yeah.
It might have been Amazon actually, but yeah, we didn't see them until they were actually out. What is kind of intriguing as well, I remember one London Toy Fair, they launched the Action Man range, like the new Action Man range, and there was a huge display, and the only picture that came out was there was one picture of the whole display, and we had to zoom in on everything to try and find it, try and work out what it was. But it was effectively like a relaunch of the 90s era Action Man, and I'm not sure if it really kind of went anywhere other than maybe UK stores. Did it end
up coming out at all?
Not sure if it even did. But I say that, but the thing is, I went to the UK not long ago. Well, over 2 years ago now, so fairly long ago. But they had Action Man stuff in not that Action Man stuff, but other Action Man, I think the 40th or maybe 50th or whatever anniversary it was at the time, and they had them there, but they kind of snuck in, and then all of a sudden it was oh, this range is out. So it may have happened with that 90s stuff, but that was so long ago now. That was probably 2 or 3 years ago that Action Man 90s range was redone. But yeah, I find it so weird that London is so shut off. There isn't the same kind of activity going on at London Toy Fair.
It's almost good, because there's the bad part of us finding out everything that is shown at Toy Fair, because there really should kind of be an opportunity for toy companies to be a little more daring and to offer some more interesting or some maybes. Maybe this will be something that will interest some of the toy buyers, maybe it won't. And I think that with everything showing up online immediately whenever the companies are showing it to potential buyers, which is what the idea of a toy fair is, that it may actually be kind of bad, because it paints the toy companies in a bad light. So therefore, they almost now don't want to show anything at all unless it's a sure thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think that it's kind of good that London keeps a lockdown on things, and maybe there is a spot in the world where toy buyers and toy companies can get together to see some crazy stuff.
Yeah. Good point. I'm kind of really hoping that Toy Fair happens next year, or fingers crossed, because I desperately want to do another preview event. That was one of my favorite ever times, just kind of doing that little kind of sideshow. So fingers crossed it does go ahead very soon, because again, they're going to be revealing some cool stuff at that place as well. So we get I suppose we do still get spoiled, because we get multiple online events all the time. So again, I think the next one is in Feb as well, isn't it, for G.I. Joe? So already one round the corner, guys, for G.I. Joe. So fingers crossed we get even more reveals there. I'm sure we will. Anyway, let's get on to the next item on the list, and that is in Icon Heroes news. Icon Heroes dropped this awesome vintage artwork Zaymot and Tomax mousepad on their site for pre-order on Monday. Featuring their classic art on a circular pad, you'll be able to get one for $15 and it will ship in Q2 of 2022. Link in the description if you guys are interested. Nice timing with the recent classified reveals from last Friday, and would be a fun item to sit on the old work desk even if you didn't use a mouse. I actually do use a mouse and a mousepad down here. I'll show you proof. There's my pad. I'm using it right now, mainly just due to the fact that I don't have to keep tapping on the laptop that's recording me and making noises. Is this something that interests you guys? Would you be getting did you like getting cutesy kind of merch like this, Justin?
Yeah, it's cool enough. I don't know if I will pick up a mouse pad. I mean, I use a laser mouse, which doesn't really need a mouse pad. And I kind of, if I was going to get one, it probably would be something like this, because Tomax's Xamon, I think, is just a little bit more interesting than like another Duke or Baroness or Cobra Commander or whatever. So I do like that they are choosing, slightly more esoteric characters, and they certainly timed it well with the reveal of the twins in the classified line too. So yeah, I mean, it's cool. I don't know if I'll get it or not, but it's definitely a neat little item that I could see people picking up.
Does anyone see the connection with Extensive Enterprises here? And also, how funny would it be in like Extensive Enterprises if all the workers had their bosses on their mouse pads like all the time? All the admin vipers of just like constantly.
The CEO of your company, like their face is on the mouse pad. Yeah,
that would be the equivalent of having like your CEO on a mouse pad, wouldn't it? That's hilarious. Oh my god.
It is.
Pat, could you get the CEO of your work? In fact, Justin, do the same. Get a mouse pad with your CEO on it.
I don't know. I don't know if she'd be into that.
Explosion.
I want to do that for you guys so bad now. I want to make that happen. Oh god, that's hilarious. Pat, are you into this?
It's all right. It's been quite a while since I've actually, sat at a desktop computer at home.
Would it have been when the Crimson Twins were last on sale in a store?
Not quite that long.
Okay.
But ever since I bought a laptop, I just haven't sat at my desktop. So
yeah,
I don't know. I could see myself getting this. I thought about buying another desktop just for editing and doing some other stuff online, having a more powerful machine somewhere in the house. But I don't know. I really doubt that I'll buy this, because I would then feel bad, because mouse pads tend to get dirty. And I would feel bad using it. So.
Yeah, like scrubbing the picture off it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually quite like them just as like a just like a little desktop kind of item. I think they're quite cute. But one thing I will say is that I think the last time I did, other than this one I'm using now, which Kate actually got me anyway, I hadn't used a mouse pad for ages. So like ever since I've been using laptops, you just get used to a trackpad. Like that just is what it is. You just get so used to especially on a Macs where you've got like the 2-finger, 3-finger, 4-finger kind of things to do different things. I just got used to that in the years I've had them. So I suppose I could always get one of these and stuff it underneath my trackpad, but I don't think that would just like bust your laptop in half, slide it underneath the trackpad. Voila, perfect. I don't think that's what they're designed for, so don't do that, guys. Anyway, yes, that like I said, links in the description if you guys are interested. I think the last time I did use a mouse pad, prior to the one I'm using now, like I said, was when Xamon and Tomax were actually out. That's probably not true, actually. Did we have? Yeah, we did. We had an old school BBC. I'm sure we did, a really old school computer, and that I'm sure we probably didn't have a mouse pad at that point. Probably never had a mouse. Anyway, enough of this absolute garbage talk. Let's move on to the next point on the list. This is a bit of depressing news. It's a little bit disappointing, is what I'll say. On Wednesday, multiple reports came flooding in regarding prices for Hasbro products in 2022. Sites from Star Wars, Marvel and Transformers fandoms reported on the price increase on Black Series, Marvel Legends and the mainline Transformers products, and we can actually confirm that the same will be happening for the G.I. Joe Classified series. Hasbro did warn us of the price hike last year during a number of live streams, and with a number of new reveals already shown off this year, we can expect to see a rise in the pre-order prices on the next reveal day. The pandemic has caused a huge price increase on materials, as well as the shipping delays, making it very difficult to have product to actually sell in stores and online. Expect the figures to bump up a few dollars from last year's prices, which is a huge shame, but also necessary, I guess, if we want to keep getting these figures from Hasbro. It's not the most welcome news, of course, but it's happening, and we will just have to like it or lump it. What are your thoughts on this increase, Pat? Will it change anything for you at all?
It could, to be honest. Yeah, it could. Eventually just get priced out of buying things. And I've recently been thinking that maybe I just can't do a one of everything anymore. It gets to be difficult when you're buying multiple toy lines, because I really enjoy G.I. Joe and Transformers. But, Star Wars has put out a few things that I couldn't pass up. So it gets to be hard.
It really does, doesn't it? Like, I've definitely pared down as well. I'm down to just focusing on classified and micro machines. They're the two random lines that I'm collecting. What about you, Justin? Is it going to like? And that is, I mean, that isn't necessarily due to, that was due to just, constant buying of everything anyway, and just being like, okay, space, money, all of these things become a factor, and you just have to start kind of really thinking about what you're actually spending, especially with pre-orders, because it has that like, I don't know, it has that kind of like false sense of security type thing where you get the pre-order in, and then, nothing happens, so it's not really affecting you. But then all these pre-orders build up, and then they all come in at the same time, and you're just like, that wasn't what I wanted. I wanted it spaced out. But yeah, like, so there's definitely been an eye on that. Is it the same for you, Justin?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, we're in very interesting times for many different reasons, but I think the collector-based action figure kind of environment is really in a unique position where we're getting a lot of very accurate, well articulated, very a wide breadth of various different action figures from like Super 7, from NECA, from Hasbro, but at the because some of these companies like Super 7 and NECA especially are smaller companies, they generally have to charge more. So for like a G.I. Joe Ultimates figure, you're paying $55 for a 7-inch figure. Compared to that, paying $25 for a 6-inch classified figure doesn't feel quite so bad. But when you are buying some of those other lines, this stuff, like you said, it all builds up. And I think the fear of missing out has really kind of driven a lot of folks with classified, especially. I know me. When they announce a pre-order, I am like jumping on it without even really thinking about it. I'm like, if I don't pre-order this, I'm not going to get it. So I jump on it and I pre-order it. And then, like you said, especially if you are stupid like me and pre-order from multiple places and forget to cancel the other one, and then all of a sudden you didn't just spend, way too much money on 2 Alley Vipers. You spent way too much money on 6 Alley Vipers that you weren't sure you really wanted. So yeah, I mean, there's it's a combination of those things that really. Hey, nice.
That's how in abundance they are on my desk. I can just grab one.
Grab one from the pile. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's weird because it's a combination for me of price, but also display space, because as G.I. Joe has evolved to a larger scale line, and I had this problem with Sigma 6 back in the early 2000s when I was the only G.I. Joe collector buying it, in that, you accumulate 20 of those figures and all of a sudden you've lost, 4 feet of display space. And it's the same for, classified. I used to have it on one section of one shelf kind of next to some of my Marvel Legends figures, and now I'm looking up and I've got 3 full shelves of G.I. Joe classified figures, and it's only been 18 months or something like that, or not even. So yeah, I mean, it's a double-edged sword. It's cost and it's display space. But yeah, I mean, if I don't see myself phasing out classified stuff, but I could very well phase out other stuff. I'm all in on classified at the moment, for its potential as well as kind of for what it's been doing. But but I could see other lines that and I've already canceled some pre-orders from other lines that I just said, I thought about, and I was just like, yeah, I really can't do it. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to have an impact. Absolutely.
Yeah. And also bingo, for anyone out there, Justin did mention Sigma 6. So if you're playing your Full Force bingo card, he's mentioned Sigma 6, so that gets a little mark. It's
going to be on every show. I mean, you might as well just circle that little square right off the bat.
Exactly. Just like I say, as always, just there. And there you go. There you go. Sorted. What's Pat's one?
Well, I was just going to say, Justin hasn't mentioned Hit and Run yet, but you haven't mentioned
Lightfoot.
So.
Done. Check. Done. Okay.
No, I will mention 1989 Snake Eyes.
There we go. Version 3, and I did mention version 4 Snake Eyes earlier when poking fun at Justin for not dressing like us. So yeah, I think that's everything. I think if you're playing Full Force Bingo, I'm going to create that bingo card, and I'm going to let people play along every episode. That's actually not a bad idea, is it? I'll do that.
It's called engagement, Chris.
Exactly.
Yeah, there you go.
Come on, get on board, McLeod, with your engagement and your interaction. So anyway, we started in kind of a disappointed mood on this story, and we've ended on a high. But yeah, unfortunately, so have the prices. So yeah,
I see what you did there.
Exactly.
Nice.
This is it sucks, doesn't it? And also, I will say that it never goes down, does it? They never go like, oh, do you know what? Now that we're out of this, no. But I think I would actually prefer more being put into the figures with the price going up. Do you know what I mean? Like, and that didn't really happen. That doesn't really happen either, does it? A lot's always costed out. But I'd love to see even more things going in.
I will,
like, you know,
I will give.
Go on.
Oops, sorry. I was just going to say, I will give Classified some credit. I mean, if you look at 6-inch figures on shelves, look at a Marvel Legends figure and a Classified figure, generally, more often than not, Classified comes loaded with accessories, especially compared to a Marvel Legends figure for about equivalent cost. But yeah, I agree. As the price goes up, it'd be nice if they could figure out ways to compensate for that by including some more accessories. And the main thing that I think Classified is lacking that I would love to see them do is start coming with alternate hands or something like that. I mean, just a little touch like that, you know, just you know, hands that, you know, because I think right now it's only the left hand that kind of goes up and down while the right hand goes like this. So I know a lot of people kind of like their, you know, using their weapons right-handed, and you can't really do that. So they could, you know, kind of like Boss Fight does with, you know, hands coming with kind of both joints. Just little things like that I think could maybe make up for the cost increase that might not cost them a whole lot to do. I don't have any insight as to how much that would actually cost, but but just an idea.
Sometimes when our prices have gone up, especially we saw this in 4-inch stuff, there would be some things added. Like the prices went up for Rise of Cobra compared to what we have in the 25th, but then there was a lot more accessories included with every Rise of Cobra figure, and they had those spring activated launchers, which maybe not everybody wanted those, but they did add them in. So sometimes it feels like the way that price increases have happened is the price will go up and more stuff will get packed in, and then slowly those pack-ins go away and the price stays the same. And then again, more pack-ins and the price goes up, and it kind of feels like they've done that a couple of times.
Yeah.
But
Damn it, Hasbro.
Yeah, right. But I mean, I'm not complaining. I'm just saying that sometimes it is nice to soften the blow of the price increase with something else in there. I don't know what I would want inside the Classified series, though. I don't know that I want them to get it too complicated. But there are some figures that could use more. Like I opened up Movie Scarlet, one little crossbow as the accessory. Honestly, the figure was great.
Yeah.
But the accessories, the crossbow wasn't even what she used in the movie most of the time.
I feel like the movie figures got a real raw deal on accessories. And also not just that, but they had so few accessories, and then they couldn't hold all of them as well. Like, so that, you know, as in they couldn't have like storage for like Snake Eyes knives and things like that, which I think they were obviously a little bit, there was a bit of a stricter thing there with what they were dealing with. I don't know, maybe Paramount had some sort
I don't
of
know if there's license costs or something like that kind of raises their production costs a little bit, so they had to sacrifice somewhere else maybe. But that's a good point, and that's something that that's a good point that Pat made too, is that one thing that the Classified figures have boasted more or less so far is that they could generally carry all of their gear. So kind of as you sort of pile more stuff in there, it does become a little overcomplicated, and you do end up with like kind of scattered extra pieces that you got to figure out what to do with. So
yeah, totally. I also would say that in terms of added value in the box, and we discussed this off screen yesterday, I believe, but is the kind of addition of some sort of product leaflet, which I'll shout out Brian Sauer of Assembly Required, codename Iowa as well. He did an amazing like custom, you know, proper like nice quality product leaflet, like fold out leaflet for Classified, that came with the captain's level and came with a few of the different level box sets that you get with Armor and Assembly Required now, the show. So, and that was great. Like, that was such a cool little like fold out. I'll throw a video up of me like, you know, messing about with it, but it's really cool. It's got a list of all, like a checklist of all the characters' names that were out at that point, all like visually, like the checklist, loads of beautiful photography of, you know, the Hasbro stuff, showing off all of the different exclusives and stuff. It's just really, really cool. And I think something like that would, maybe they could put like bio and full artwork of the actual, you know, so you're not just getting on the box, but you're actually getting it in a leaflet, like a fold-out leaflet too, would be so cool. And the narrative that, like, we talked about this, didn't we? Like the actual storyline running through Classified that is seemingly in the marketing and Lenny's heads, but not really out there necessarily. Like, it's kind of like, you know, you have to kind of like use your imagination a little bit, looking at like the Cobra Island boxes or that kind of stuff, or listen to the live streams. But to get that narrative out would be wicked, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it could just be kind of my author mindset, but I don't think people fully appreciate how important that narrative was to G.I. Joe, at least to most of us, I think, growing up.
Yep.
Through the file card, through the comic, through the cartoon, and even if you can't have those external things like a comic or cartoon, that narrative it is important. I think it really brings characters to life. It allows you to sort of tie things together. I mean, I would have loved to have seen some kind of ongoing Cobra Island sort of mission booklet or whatever that kind of said, why does Roadblock get dispatched to Cobra Island and Beachhead, and kind of tying all those characters together. And I just think that is really something that's kind of missing here, is that bringing those characters to life.
Even the website would have been perfect for that, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I can't imagine that would be ridiculously expensive to just get somebody to write some G.I. Joe oriented fiction that could be posted in various different places to kind of tie things together.
Well, if you're insinuating then yeah, it would be really cheap, wouldn't it?
Oh, I'm cheap. I am so cheap.
I'm kidding, by the way. You're at extortionate prices. I agree with that, and I think that I really do think that they could do some great stuff with just that kind of like the exterior, not just the figure, but like you say, that kind of added value. Maybe you scan the box, there's a little code on the box, and then that brings up the new features on the website.
Yeah,
that would be wicked.
I was just imagining myself being annoyed because when you're talking about the insert catalog, I was picturing a section of it where they would have just the silhouette of figures that were yet to come, and then just the code name underneath them, like an entire section of this catalog, and it doesn't show you anything other than silhouettes and these code names that mean nothing to me.
Oh, the old code words, the internal ones. Oh my goodness, that would be the worst. Pat, you'd probably
Dung
just
beetle
go,
and mosquito and yeah.
Pat would literally dissolve. He'd turn into a puddle on the floor, no doubt. Anyway,
it may help my mind at least place these things a little bit better, but yeah. I think that an insert catalog could be cool.
Are you asking for some sort of visual aid that has all of the internal code words on the pictures as well?
Yes.
I'll send you some stuff. Right then, lads. Okay, next up then, and obviously the news keeps on falling into our laps about this, and that is in Walmart news. Well, that was fully expected, wasn't it? Yep, the recently revealed classified retro cardback series exclusive to Walmart has recently started showing up in stores, or at least the Baroness one has, giving us our first look at the actual packaging. It looks as though they have gone with the original artwork, only slightly digitally altered for the front to match with the classified aesthetic, with the bubble taking up a huge space down the right-hand side, much like the 4-inch retro series from last year. We also have an image of the back of the card as well, and that is a little bit disappointing, I will say. The big kind of file card takes up most of the back, which you'd think would be great, but obviously it's multilingual, so there's lots of different ones covered there. I'm sure there's a way around that somehow, but unfortunately that's what we've got with the file card. And then the cross cell only has the 4 figures on it, obviously Baroness, Lady J, and of course we've already had Gung Ho and Destro revealed, so we know it's those, but they've got the silhouettes of them in there anyway, which is kind of fun, I guess. But what do you guys think about this reveal then? We'll start with you, Justin, because you sent me this image about 3 seconds before we went live. Take us through your thoughts, mate.
Yeah, I mean, well, at least I sent it before, not after. But it's
true. It's so true.
But yeah, and I just want to thank John for sending it along to me in the first place. He kind of made me aware that it was out there. And yeah, I mean, it's bizarre because we just had the G.I. Joe kind of fan fest, and they were very kind of skating around the whole pack. They were very specifically obtuse about what the packaging was going to look like. And yet it must have been in production because, it appeared in Walmart looking like retro packaging, so that's clearly what it was. So I'm not sure why Emily and Lenny kind of couldn't really talk about it unless it was some sort of Walmart dictum that they not talk about, which is entirely possible.
Yeah, I think that's probably what we're talking about here, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, it's very cool. I mean, Baroness is in kind of a little bit darker deco. It comes with a bunch of weapons. Somebody pointed out, and unfortunately I closed out the image, that it almost looks like she might have a stand.
Yeah, I was just about to say, bottom right-hand corner, that looks like a figure stand to me.
Yeah, which is cool. That's a great touch. She comes with a bunch of different weapons, which is another cool touch. I think they're doing what they can do to make these repaints worthwhile. Whether or not, speaking of what sacrifices you have to make because of increased costs, I don't know how deeply I'm going to go into this line, because if I did, it would be mostly because of the packaging, and I'm not really a package guy. I think packaging takes up a lot of space, and I don't really have the sentimental attachment to the packages.
I've heard you've got a decent package, Justin.
That's what I said. It takes up a lot of space. That's exactly what I was talking about.
And there's a bubble on it.
It's got great artwork, though. I've totally lost my train of thought now. But yeah, it's the packaging of this retro Baroness looks different enough that I don't feel a very strong nostalgic tie to it.
No, I do agree with that.
It's been digitally altered. It's got kind of a more classified-esque rifle in her hand. And frankly, at this point, with books that have been released, with all the artwork available on the web, if you want that shot of dopamine from looking at classic art, you've got dozens of different sources that you can get that. So I don't feel compelled to purchase this line because of the package itself. I do like that they're doing what they can to make the figure inside more desirable. And obviously, Baroness was kind of difficult to find originally anyway, and you had to pay a lot of money to get her to come with a motorcycle. But so this is kind of a win-win, I think, for most folks. But yeah, so I'm not sure I'm going to grab it. But just from a presentation standpoint and everything they're offering in the bubble, I think it's a great deal for folks who haven't gotten her already.
Pat, we discussed a little bit off air beforehand, didn't we? There's a few kind of things that we were kind of in probably agreement with. Very retro 4-inch style, isn't it?
Yeah, I like the idea, and I hate to be a downer, but I'm afraid the execution just isn't there. We talked at length and really were wondering what the art itself would look like, because obviously the Baroness figure doesn't exactly match the old vintage art. So could they just reuse that? I don't know if they really could have done that and had it make sense. But there's a lot that I'm not crazy about with this packaging. I think that the thing that I complained about a lot with the retro 4-inch stuff was how tall the bubble became. They kind of filled in that space that sometimes was there, because in the vintage figures you'd have a bubble for the figure and then a bubble for the accessories, and I kind of understand why they made that universal. They did make it very tall, and it kind of became the focal point for the package rather than your eyes really gravitating to the art. It kind of took away from things. And I think that one of the things that they could have done, which would have made it a lot thicker, so maybe that's why they didn't for shipping purposes, is pack the accessories just behind the figure. Put them in there in a couple of layers. I've bought figures. I mentioned Star Wars recently. I think the Din Djarin figure that I just opened had another layer of accessories. The Tebow I opened definitely did.
Yeah.
So there's definitely been, and that's an Ewok. There's definitely space above him to have put accessories. They put him behind him because he looked a lot better on the card with the accessories kind of tucked away back there.
Yeah.
And yeah, I want to know what I'm getting that's new, but the rifle's in front of her shoulder. It kind of takes away from the look of the figure.
Yeah.
I'm not real crazy about this. I think the execution of the way her face looks is nice.
Yeah.
It looks like we've got a new deco on the face, and having the glasses off allows us to really see that in this picture. But yeah, I can't imagine myself buying this and wanting to keep it on the card.
It seems to me like, sorry, Justin, it seems to me like they could easily have put the rifle to the top right, and then all those smaller accessories could have been way better placed. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's this huge negative space between her left shoulder and the glasses, and then they've just what looks like a random scattering of accessories at the top. Which, do you need the knife to be that high up? Do you know what I mean? Another argument you could say is lower the bubble and move all the accessories further into that space, or the smaller accessories. I don't like the way that's laid out, and I don't think that's the way they should have gone. I think they should have put the weapons and stuff in the background. Definitely agree with that.
Yeah, I was taking a close look at the image as Pat was talking, and you're right. I mean, there's there's an art form to placing a bubble and accessories and stuff like that. You can't just like slap everything in there. And I think for the effort they're putting in to do these retro cards, to kind of use that as a selling point, I agree. Kind of the way they did that bubble, just kind of stacking the longer weapons along the right hand side, and like Chris said, there's a bunch of empty space on the other side. It does not look really good. It kind of looks like a custom card. I mean, I don't want to start spreading rumors this is a custom, because it's not. It clearly is an actual Hasbro produced, but it kind of has that feel. Back in the day, people would do custom figures and would release carded versions of them, kind of as, a little added bonus. And you could kind of tell that they were custom carded figures, that, not everything kind of slotted in perfectly, because there is a design aesthetic that goes to placing that bubble and placing everything within that bubble. And for reasons that I am not quite sure about, it just seems like they said, okay, just slap everything in there, slap the bubble on top, cover up half the Cobra logo, not a big deal. And don't leave room for it doesn't seem like it would have taken that much for them to kind of shrink that bubble down, like Pat said, put the accessories behind it, leave space above, and maybe do another smaller bubble with like the pistol and the glasses and the small stuff in there. And then her name and Cobra Intelligence or whatever kind of on the top to really capture that vintage feel. But I think all this stuff that Pat mentioned only goes to further hurt this line from succeeding in the way that I think they want it to, which is to appeal to those older collectors that want the vintage look and feel, because I don't think they're capturing it, at least not with Baroness. And those are all really great points by Pat.
I probably still going to get this though, but I'm totally with you on the aesthetics. I'm not going to lie, I'm a little disappointed with how it's turned out. And then if we look at the card back, where we've got the the huge file card, but then with like multilingual kind of, and I'm just kind of thinking that there's definitely a way around that. Is there not? Just do, I don't know, maybe even do a version online where you can just see it in the language that you want. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It just, to me, this is like, I don't know what the solution is, honestly, but it just doesn't look as good, does it? And it doesn't, to me, it's just what they've done with this card series, they just did with the previous retro thing. And there was so many things with that. The white border not being there is an issue for me. It almost makes it look a bit thinner. It makes the card look thinner and makes the card look a little like, not complete. Like I just need, for some reason I need that white border around it. I don't know why, I just feel like I do. And yeah, like the art, actually, I'm not going to lie though, I do like what they did with the art. I think the artwork looks great. I think it's still, it still has that kind of soul and heart and soul of the original Baroness artwork, with those digital touch-ups to make it more like the classified version. But in terms of the back, yeah, and the fact they've only got 4 figures on the back, cross-sell wise, I don't know. And you can tell now, what we can see now, that obviously Hasbro probably weren't going to be revealing Gung Ho and Destro prior to that January live stream, and they probably just threw that in there at the end just to kind of go, let's give them a little bit more to kind of look at. I am excited to see Gung Ho, obviously, but mainly because the figure's so different, not because the card back necessarily.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, it seems like a missed opportunity in a couple of different ways.
There's a couple of other takeaways though here from the card back. One of them, just to kind of get one of the other negatives out of the way before I focus on some of the positives, is that if you look at the bottom there, you can kind of see the card already waving. One of the big advantages I thought of some of the other retro stuff is if you've picked up those Fantastic Four card backs in either Target or Walmart and just seen them, they are crazy thick and sturdy, and it's because the bubble is wedged in between 2 pieces of cardboard that are then layered and glued together. I would imagine that is more expensive, and that's not the way that they've gone here. You could kind of see the lip of the bubble underneath taped on again, and it's a little wavy. So I don't think that these are going to be quite as strong as the Fantastic Four, but not that they have to be. They could still be pretty good. This card back does look like it's in good condition. But then Lady J is pictured here. We haven't talked about the fact that it looks like she's going to include that VHS camera, or, the camcorder.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Sorry, I'm trying to get a picture of it up again. Where did I put that? There it is. Yeah, that's pretty dope. I'm excited to see the accessories on Lady J, and that is a massive bonus actually, Pat, isn't it? Because obviously we haven't seen the accessories yet; they haven't revealed those. So this is the first time we're seeing the Baroness's accessories, and obviously if the card art has anything to go by, she's going to be getting that VHS camera. That's awesome.
I mean, now do you think that's true, or you think that's just the vintage art?
Well, look how they changed. Look how they
Yeah.
changed the art. They have to change it to match the
Right.
figure, don't they?
Yeah, that's
So
cool art.
Yeah, that's a good point. Interesting.
Yeah, and if, it makes me wonder if the Gung Ho silhouette is just of the old Gung Ho. Let me check.
probably.
That is pretty close, I think. That Destro is definitely evocative of the regular
It is.
Destro.
Yeah,
I
but
imagine
if it is
they're the
touched
same.
up- If it is touched up, if it's not the same, maybe it's an indication of what his grenade launcher will look like.
Yeah.
Neat.
Yeah, 'cause it looks like it's got kind of an extended stock kind of out of his right elbow that I don't recall. Maybe that's with the vintage version too. I don't remember. But.
Maybe the 25th.
Yeah,
Maybe it's just
it doesn't
25th.
It looks like it was there, but it was cut off because of the way
Okay.
the figure was framed on the card. So yeah, that is just the vintage art for the two of them, I believe.
It's that to me is
Yeah.
more exciting, but I think more to do with the fact that the figure's so different rather than being on the retro card back. All very good, interesting points here. Now, nothing really changes for me on this one, and I must admit, I don't think I expected them to go so close to the retro 4-inch cards. But in hindsight, it's a bit dumb of me to think they wouldn't. Like they've already got the layout that they wanted, and they're just making it slightly bigger. It's a bit of a shame, but I don't know what you're going to do. What are you going to do? Nothing. So you're just going to buy them anyway. So stop moaning, Chris, and get on with it. But I do agree with those points, though. I think there's a lot in there that you're kind of like, could you not have done this a little bit different? And I'm guessing they're going to be uniform. Like the bubbles are going to be uniform. Like they're going to be the same size, because why?
It might have been why there's all that empty space is because they've got to accommodate for it for a different figure. So it's just they kind of slapped it all on there the same, maybe.
That's what my thinking is on this one. Yeah, definitely.
That's what the case was with the retro 4-inch stuff. Is there's a ton of space in some of the figures packaging, and really just didn't serve the overall idea very well. Those figures definitely missed the mark.
Yeah.
I think the retro 4-inch did, and hopefully there's some time to pivot. Like you said, there's only 4 figures pictured in the back here. I would almost guarantee that Gung Ho and Destro are going to look this way, but maybe if we get more in the future, I really would like to see them scale down that bubble.
Yeah.
Put the accessories behind them and make the card look, make the card actually be the special thing in a specially packaged item. It's a little
especially I mean with Gung Ho, obviously the figure is going to be the showcase, but with a character like Destro, where the classified wave 1 is pretty close to vintage and pretty good representation of Destro as it is, you're gonna need something different to kind of sell that figure. So yeah, I think you really got to leverage that card. I mean, that's the whole part of the reason you're doing this. So I agree. I think they need to rethink this a little bit if this element of the line is going to be successful. And I like Pat's idea of kind of the twin cardboard kind of sandwiching the plastic for the bubble. And yeah, I mean, it obviously would require probably, like Pat said, more expensive, more resources to kind of figure out how to make that work. But I think it would be worth it in the long run, and might end up selling a little bit better.
Yeah,
I'm kind of curious to see what accessories Destro will come with, because it looks like the ones that are included with Baroness are new to Baroness, but not new to the toy line.
Right. Yeah.
And yet their Lady J is pictured, and it's new art. So I have to assume that the accessories that she's shown with are the accessories she's going to include. So is it going to be the same thing with Gung Ho and Destro, where Gung Ho will have all these new parts, but Destro will just, be packed out with some things that he didn't include prior to it, but the retro line did? That's going to be what my guess is, but
I would agree.
Who knows?
I would say they probably invested a little bit more in the Lady J and the Gung Ho, so they've got to make up for it with Destro and Baroness and kind of keying them back a little bit.
We could even see weapons and rifles and accessories and so on and so forth with the Destro figure that might be showing up in the later figures as well, that we haven't seen yet. So it might just be like, oh, this is new. And then we'll find out that, oh, no, that's actually with this figure, or, maybe the Viper 3-pack, for example. Anyway, well, yeah, I guess we'll see. And just as expected, Walmart are the ones to drop the actual reveal on us by actually putting them out on their store shelves. Classic Walmart.
Yeah.
Right, well, let's get on to the last news story then, and we're going to lose Pat for a few moments while Justin and I discuss a little bit of movie news. Well, it's been a while, but we have another interesting story emerging in the G.I. Joe movie world. Skydance Media, the company responsible for co-financing and co-producing the Transformers and G.I. Joe live-action movies for Paramount Pictures, have signed a multi-year live-action film slate deal with Apple Original Films in a possible move away from the Big P. It marks the end of the long-running first-look deal David Ellison's production company had with Paramount Pictures, a partnership that centered around Hollywood tentpoles such as Mission Impossible, Transformers, Top Gun and Star Trek. The deal with Apple is non-exclusive though, meaning those franchises and their currently in production works like Top Gun Maverick and the next 2 Mission Impossible entries will continue on with Paramount in the meantime. Even though Skydance will retain the rights to co-produce and co-finance the Transformers and G.I. Joe franchises, terms and details are unclear at this point. The move will likely necessitate a search for a new co-producer, which the Viacom subsidiary is probably in the process of right now. The last film Skydance Media worked on with Paramount for a Hasbro brand was Snake Eyes G.I. Joe Origins, which unfortunately was a financial flop, earning $40 million worldwide against a budget of $100 million. How this will affect the G.I. Joe and Transformers movie landscape is unknown at this point. It might not have any considerable effect at all, but we shall monitor the goings-on at Paramount, and any news that might surface or another attempt at the G.I. Joe cinematic universe, whether it's related to Snake Eyes or something completely different. It has gone very quiet in regards to the live-action TV series as well, which Skydance were also involved in, the proposed animation, and even the follow-up Joe movies that we knew were in development. Whatever the outcome, the brand is currently in a good place right now with multiple toy lines and merchandise galore, so it's not all bad. Here's hoping we start to see and hear more in regards to live action and animated series in the coming months, and like I said, we will be right there in order to report on it. Justin, thoughts on this? Do you think this really affects G.I. Joe? Probably not.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't know. It's a tough call. The kind of inner workings of Hollywood and how that financing all works and how that producing all works, I'm not sure. I suspect that Paramount is still going to be able to release G.I. Joe films and Transformers films, and probably still will. But it's also I don't know. Do we know who Lorenzo Di Bonaventura is associated with? Is he a Paramount guy or is he a Skydance guy?
He's Paramount, yeah.
Paramount,
so he's locked in.
Again, yeah, that was something I was kind of hoping maybe might be a nice side benefit of this. But no offense to Lorenzo, but I'm not sure he's the right person to kind of shepherd the Hasbro universe through Hollywood. But yeah, like you said, it may not have any demonstrable effect at all. It sounds like that, like you said, Top Gun is still scheduled for release. I think the Beast Wars film, I think is the Rise of the Beasts or whatever, still with Paramount and scheduled for release. So yeah, I don't see this having a dramatically different effect. I don't know if Paramount really wants to find a co-financer for a G.I. Joe brand movie and they can't, now that Skydance is less available. That might be an issue, but honestly, I don't see that being a big deal.
Yeah, I think this one, it's more like, just reporting on related news more than anything else. But I think it's interesting that they've moved away from Paramount. And also Paramount have had all that stuff recently, all the kind of hierarchical shifts and everything. And
I think it also speaks to a new focus on streaming services. I mean, they're kind of peeling away from a cinematic juggernaut. Maybe a previous juggernaut, maybe not so much of a juggernaut, anymore, but they were at one point a cinematic juggernaut, and they're shifting to a streaming service, and so I think maybe this is a small change that kind of signals a more seismic shift in the landscape towards, making entertainment streamable over theatrical releasing.
Absolutely. Again, it probably will have almost zero effect on what's going on with G.I. Joe, but I will say that they were involved, Skydance, quite... then again, I'm not sure if they were involved in the same way that they've always been involved because it's Paramount connected, but they were involved with the Amazon Lady J series as well. They were kind of name was on the list of kind of companies like in major involvement with that. We haven't heard anything about that for so long now.
I don't have a good feeling about that. It just seems like it's been a year or two since it's been announced. We haven't heard a single word about stars, directors, timeline. I mean, nothing. You know, I mean, it's I don't know.
It was probably hooked on, wasn't it? The Snake Eyes, how well Snake Eyes did.
Yeah, unfortunately. I mean, I wish it wasn't, because from the sounds of it, it was going to be a very different thing. So I don't think its success was necessarily predicated on Snake Eyes' success. But as with any, I mean, certainly entertainment corporations have made dumber moves based on, you know, kind of, you know, silly things that have gone on in the past. So it's I just don't have a great feeling. I would love to hear more, you know, just the rumor mill or whatever, but it just, you know, how many things are kind of thrown at the wall to see what sticks. You know, this might have been, you know, something that was thrown at the wall and maybe it didn't stick.
You have to take that into account. Like the moving parts, and that's the other thing, they're constantly moving as well. It's like these things that are in development. I mean, that's such a loose term, and often just means that they've got like a couple of people talking about it, and maybe, you know, maybe there's a writer working on it, and that's about it. Go beyond that, they have so many other things that have so many hoops that have to be jumped through in order to like start. Something that's in development is actually happening. So I feel like I think a lot of that was balanced on the fact, let's see how Snake Eyes does. And I think because of the financial, like, just the financial mess that was, I think that we're probably not going to get stuff soon, is what I'm getting at. The brand though is in a good place, which is interesting. Like the toy lines are doing well.
Oh yeah.
The name itself is out there, you know. Logan Paul is even saying it a lot, which is great.
Yeah. I mean, for anybody, you know, and this is the magic of having mainstream kind of visibility. I mean, like you said, the Snake Eyes movie was a financial flop, but just the fact that it was in production got, you know, wheels spinning throughout Hasbro. And even though it came and went with kind of not much of a landscape shift, it allowed Hasbro to kind of expand the reach of its G.I. Joe brand. I think a lot of that was also due to them kind of loosening the reins on licensing a little bit too, with Super 7 and different companies like that. But I think that's only benefited because there's so much news bubbling up about G.I. Joe. It just kind of, you know, a rising tide is lifting all boats. So even though somebody on Twitter may say, oh, I just found these Super 7 reaction G.I. Joe figures in Target, its visibility for G.I. Joe and G.I. Joe as a brand is kind of elevated because of that.
Absolutely.
So I think I'm really glad that Hasbro sort of relaxed their iron fist grip on the G.I. Joe license, is kind of letting some other people play in the playground. I think it's only a good thing for the brand as a whole. And I think for a company like Super 7, while a line like G.I. Joe Ultimates would not necessarily do gangbusters at retail, for a company like Super 7, I think there's, you know, compared to something like Thundercats or Silverhawks, I would imagine G.I. Joe is pretty close to one of their flagship brands compared to those other kind of complementary lines. So I think it's a good thing.
Absolutely. And as I said, any other news that comes out on the animated series that we heard a little bit about at that Brazil expo, and now nothing since. The Snake, obviously the follow-up to Snake Eyes kind of film ideas that were like, you know, the Hunt for Infinity Mask. What was the other thing in there? Obviously, Ever Vigilant, which is the title that they're desperately trying to keep alive. And obviously the Lady JTV series. Well, anything that comes out of this, I'll be happy, but I don't think we're going to see.
It seems like such a golden age for that kind of entertainment. You know, I mean, you had Masters of the Universe Revolutions, which or Revelations, which, you know, got a little bit of a mixed reaction, but it was still, you know, by all accounts a success, and has kind of led to this new He-Man animated series. You know, you've got Transformers all over the place. I mean, Star Wars with Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett, and not to mention just the litany of Marvel stuff. I mean, this is like Geek Central, and G.I. Joe, whatever it means now, back in the 80s, back when all these similar brands were kind of swirling around, G.I. Joe was the king at the top of the hill. And it's such a pillar of, you know, visibility for the 80s that it's going to be a shame if they can't find a way to capitalize on the kids, the men, women our age who grew up with it and who love it and would love to turn it into an entertainment franchise. I think it's got the potential. It's a shame they can't really seem to find. I think it's lacking that, Kevin Feige sort of personality that can kind of gather it all up and kind of shepherd it forward and advocate for it.
Almost like the talented, passionate one, like
right.
the one that's going to like also, really passionate about the brand, but then also like super, super talented in terms of the writing and the execution.
Right. Yeah. And even with, Kevin Feige's success now, it never would have happened if they hadn't taken a chance on Iron Man. Back in 2008, Iron Man was like not a household name. They really made a relatively simple, straightforward, effective, great movie with a great actor. And it, and sowed in these little seeds of other things. And because of that, they were able to kind of build and turned it into what it is now. And I think they really need to have that mindset with G.I. Joe. How can we, and no, Snake Eyes Origins was not the answer. How can we replicate that success? Take a small element of the G.I. Joe universe and use it to build something that will, capture the attention of, the mass audience.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I think you're totally right on that. I think that G.I. Joe needs to have that, as all these other brands have got. G.I. Joe needs to be, they need to be capitalizing on it. I feel like no one's capitalizing on it at the moment.
Yeah, and it's a cultural thing as much as anything. We've said this 100 times. You can't necessarily take an 80s military, machine guns or whatever, and target that to a mass audience, that might be captured by younger kids and stuff like that. So they've got to find a way to retool it. And I think that's the magic issue, that they just haven't been able to find a way to retool that idea that maintains that spirit of the classic version, but is able to appeal to a wider, more contemporary audience, and kind of blend those. It's easier with Star Wars because they're all robots and aliens and shooting lasers. It's not quite the same as as you might see at G.I. Joe, where it's bullets and grenades and explosives and mass terrorists and things like that. So they've definitely got to rethink it, but yeah, I think they really need to find that compromise.
I feel like Marvel managed to do it, and I feel like who else was I thinking of a second ago? In Mission Impossible, I feel like that kind of style.
That would be a perfect way to sort of build make it high octane action, lots of stunts. Not necessarily shooting bullets into people's faces, but stunts, intelligence operations, espionage, secret forces, advanced technology. That is Mission Impossible is it's almost the perfect way to sort of approach, I think, a G.I. Joe cinematic adventure. And I think they could use that as a template to really build something cool. The Mission Impossible movies are not my favorite, but you can sit down and watch them almost any time. They're popcorn movies, and they've all got, really exciting stunts, great sequences, and, they might not win any Oscars, but they make a lot of money and appeal to a lot of people.
Absolutely. You just have to do ridiculous stunts like the
just
mentalist Tom
get
Cruise
Henry
stunts.
Golding on the side of a flying airplane, and you're good to go. Yeah.
What, I thought we were
Come on, Henry.
I thought
Your turn.
I thought we were green screening this. No. No.
Nope.
You're going to do it for real. Enjoy. Anyway, well, that is obviously the movie news this week. Justin, thanks for jumping on and doing that for me, mate. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Let's rejoin Pat and do some shout outs, shall we?
Let's do it.
Oh, look at that.
Hey, it's like magic.
As if by magic, he just appears.
He didn't even say his name 3 times. Beetle Pat. There he is.
Patrick Juice.
I like Beetle Pat better than Patrick Juice. That's a little, I don't know about Patrick Juice.
I do.
This is the best start to a shout out I've ever done. Pat, you can go first, mate, because obviously you had to disappear for a little while. So who are your shout outs for?
Oh, put me on the spot right away. I'm going to shout out Philip, and then I'm going to shout out... I need to write these down.
Yes, you do.
During the week, and then I draw a blank whenever the time comes. I guess I'll just mention the toys that I got this week. Is that cool?
Of course it is.
Go for it.
Absolutely.
Shout out to Philip. He sent me some cool stuff that hopefully I'll be showing off soon. So actually a specific reason to shout out Philip this week. And then I also got super lucky, and I finally found these.
Nice.
Reaches over and grabs his. Yeah.
Yeah, I walked into Target looking for the
I got one too.
reaction Snake Eyes, and there was Bat and
fight.
Alligator right on the peg.
Amazing. Did you find Snake Eyes?
No.
It's funny, all I see are pictures of people going, look, there's like 50 of them on this rack, 50 of them, there's like so many of them, and then you're out there busting a gut trying to find them.
I found the tag. There's a hook with that specific figure mentioned on it.
Which we can obviously say in the week, Super 7 did reveal that is a Target exclusive. Obviously, we called it a chase. We questioned that anyway, didn't we, Pat? Really, but
yeah, I was getting a little bit upset thinking that they may be introducing chase figures, because I don't want chase figures in my GI Joes. I mean, there's going to be some figures that are naturally hard to find. That's just going to happen. I don't need forced rarity in GI Joe.
True.
I don't like it.
That's good, man. It's an exclusive. That's good. We're happy about that. I'm sure you'll find it eventually. But yeah, what do you think of the Bat in hand?
You know, I kind of ran through a couple of different emotions and ended up really enjoying it, because I opened it up and the elbows I thought were a little bit odd. I mean, I always feel different about a figure after I open it versus whenever I first get it. Yeah, it's that elbow that's a little bit, the joint in the elbow that's a little closer to the wrist feels a little bit like it just kind of ignores. No, it's not that one. It's the one forward of that. You know what I'm talking about? The other part of the elbow joint? Because it's a double jointed.
You're talking about this bit closer to the top of the arm, right?
No, the elbow, but the part that's in the forearm. Like if you just take his hand and bend it back to almost to his shoulder.
Yeah, like that.
No.
Okay.
There's still another joint you've not bent.
Like that?
No, maybe you did have it right.
Yeah, I think I did initially, because that's how I had it originally, and then you go like that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so that is the one that I'm looking at. It just kind of ignores the detail. Sorry, I'm still not that familiar with the figure.
It's fine, man. It's totally cool. I'm just like, what joint is he talking about? Is there a hidden joint that I haven't found on this thing? Is there a hidden third joint? No, yeah, I know what you're saying. I think it's just so playable. I can't stop fiddling with it.
Yeah, but then also I really wanted the accessories to be 3 in a row on his backpack, kind of like the vintage figure.
Yeah.
But then as I was playing with it, it occurred to me that this is almost future-proofing the backpack, because if they add additional attachments at any point, if there's one of them that's like long like a sword, it would look almost silly pointing straight up.
Yeah.
But then if they put that one spot for an attachment to point down on the backpack, makes it so that you could have things longer, that will then, look okay in the future on a different bat. So even though it's not like the vintage one, again, I just need to kind of put my mindset into the fact that not everything does need to be like the vintage, and go with it. And I think that was a good move. So the thing that really made me warm up to the figure, though, is that I think that this is the first bat where you can really successfully have the figure look like he is pulling an attachment off and putting a different attachment on.
Yeah, totally. You sent a picture.
Like,
I'll throw that picture up that you sent in the group with that, because that's really cool. I do love that. I think it's great. I think there's a lot of signposts on it that just scream. Obviously, the color, the deco, the design, the detail on it's actually much better than I assumed it was going to be. The one thing, though, I think I would have preferred was a bit more depth and detail, and maybe even removable sections in the chest. I think that would have been great.
Oh yeah, if some of the gizmos in there could pop out for additional battle damage,
because that would have been cool. There does look like there's a good bit of depth on it. Can you see like that kind of how the thing sticks out? So there's definitely a bit of space in there to kind of get your hands in and pull bits out, I think. Yeah. Okay. Right. Any other stuff in Pat?
I think that may actually be it. Yeah, I think that's it. I got some stuff. I got a more Transformer stuff. You know, I got the new Tigatron from Hasbro. I was excited about that.
Love it.
It's all orange, and I was
great figure.
Yeah, really great figure. Not just Tigertron, but Tigatron, the one that is orange and has the mutant head. Like Hasbro really, I just ordered it because I knew I wanted it because it was the orange version that looked like he had in the Toy Fair catalog back in the day, and actually it looked like he did it on the package. The package art is still kind of the orange Tigertron, and you know there was the whole name change, Tigertron or Tigatron, and I think they named them differently. So they just knocked that out of the park with that one. I'm super excited over that.
Wicked. Coolsies. Right then, Justin, shout outs then, buddy.
Yeah, I got a couple Target pre-orders. Pat was speaking of Super 7, so I got my Cobra Commander, my Snake Eyes.
Are they different size cards, Justin? Oh,
I don't think so.
I think I was seeing the white border, and I see that the white border looks good there on the Super 7 one.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it's funny. I almost get a more satisfactory retro feel from these packages than I do from the classified ones.
Weird that's such an odd.
But
yeah,
I don't know if I'm going to open the figures. I mean, they look really neat. I really like how they look, but they look really nice on the package too.
Yeah, so, totally packaged figures, aren't they?
Yeah. But yeah, I wanted to shout out Boss Fight Studio 2. I got a subscription box and a couple of different sets of skeletons from that were Big Bad Toy Store exclusives.
Did I slip any blue feet in any of those?
No blue feet this time. Well, the subscription box, they could have thrown some in the subscription box, I guess. The other ones came from BBTS, so I don't get blue feet from Big Bad Toy Store.
I'm going to start messaging BBTS to start putting blue. I'm going to send them a bag of blue feet just for any Justin orders, no matter what they are. That's brilliant. Cool, man.
So yeah, I think that is pretty much it. That's all I've got for shoutouts.
Coolsies. Right then, and for me, let's start with obviously a big shout out as always, bingo. Big shout out to all the family and to my wonderful wife Kate. Love you all, and to Phoebes as well. And considering you're on, I'll give a shout out to Phoebes, Justin.
I will never shout out Phoebes.
How dare you?
No, I love Phoebes, even if she doesn't love me.
I had someone came to the door the other day, and she came skidding around the corner, and was just like. So yeah, it's not just you. She just doesn't like scary, evil people. I
guess I fit. Yeah, makes sense.
To Brian Sauer, obviously, for the awesome Winter Ninja Force Storm Shadow version 3 graphics, which we just love, and look, they're all around us, aren't they amazing? Yeah, Justin, that's brilliant. Like it's snowing. Oh, it's sweet in here. Also, shout out to Fred Axon. He's going to get a couple of shout outs today, but he AKA 2D Sculpts on Instagram, for posting his work on the classified Xamot and Tomax head sculpts last weekend. He has posted loads of his work on the classified line and much more so far, which you can check out if you haven't already on his Instagram page, link in the description. And actually, yeah, while I'm talking about Fred, let's also give a shout out to Skeletron and Ben Conway for their latest reveal of their Gary Goggles head Gyre Viper figure. Ben made a really heartfelt statement along with the images of the awesome figure and close up of the head, which Fred also sculpted and did an amazing job with. The figure will be offered in the upcoming Robo Skull Mark II backer kit, along with so much more things. Word Burglar and Cosmic Orphan have got a record that they're actually going to be releasing. So it's going to be a track with Word Burglar and then a track with Cosmic Orphan. And I've actually produced the track for Word Burglar on that, so really excited for you guys to hear that one. And it's the best thing is it's called I Get to Drive It is the name of the song, and it's about Bloodwolf, who obviously pilots the RoboSkull Mark II. It's amazing. You guys are going to absolutely love it. So that's also that's been revealed in the latest email update. And also the Skeledrones package art. And I will say Ken Kelly does the artwork as well on the vinyl, which is absolutely gorgeous. He's done the same. I think he's done the art as well for the Skeledrones, the Assassin Skeledrones, and there's a 3-pack kind of packaging mock-up of what they're going to look like. Again, awesome. So yeah, massive shout out to Skeletron. Amazing. Backer kit coming very soon, this weekend actually. So if you're involved in that, then obviously you're going to be doing your backer kit.
I was just going to say, speaking of pre-orders that, give you sticker shock, I just went into my backer kit, after forgetting how much I put on the Kickstarter, and I'm like, ouch. Worth every penny. Worth every penny, Ben.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think everyone got a little bit carried away, didn't they? In that, well, obviously they did because they ended up with about
$600,000.
Oh my god, unreal. And let's quick rewind actually to the Gary Goggles head. How nice is that as a tribute?
Oh yeah, it's fantastic. I think it's a testament to the kind of the impact he had on the whole community. We've got not only has he appeared as kind of a actual G.I. Joe figure, although he was masked and he didn't actually have his head exposed, and then he appeared in the G.I. Joe comic, and now we've got this coming up as well. I think it really speaks to in his relatively short time how much of an impact he really had on the community as a whole, on his individual friends and on the G.I. Joe brand itself. It's remarkable that it's just really remarkable.
Yeah, he was a big kind of like character, wasn't he, in the G.I. Joe community?
Totally. And over the top, but
probably like the kind of like headed it up almost, the entire fandom, didn't he?
It's really amazing. I have not, in the time before him and since, seen a single personality unify so many different groups. It's really, in communities in general, online communities in general, just there tends to be tribalism where there's this group versus this group, and even people who might cross over between the different boards, there isn't really that unifying presence. But for whatever reason, he was a singular focus in the community and was able to kind of bring people from HISSTANK and people from Joe Customs and people from Joe Battle Lines, Joe Sightings, all these different places at the time, and bring them under a collective, kind of figurehead, so to speak, and really, help the community kind of form a bond across its entire breadth. That again, hadn't really happened before then, and certainly really hasn't happened since. And he will not be forgotten anytime soon.
Absolutely.
It's such a short amount of time too.
It's amazing.
He got into the community sometime around maybe 2008, 2009, and then just made a huge impact very quickly. And it was not something that was accidental. He just set out to make things better.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he did. So, and he achieved that. It's a shame that he didn't have more time. We'd probably be doing even better ourselves if he was still around.
Yeah,
no doubt.
But
he'd be on this show.
Yeah. It was just amazing how much he was able to accomplish in maybe the 5 years that he was collecting G.I. Joe.
Absolutely. Well, anyway, big shout out as well to Gary and family. And also the fact that all the proceeds of that particular figure in the backer kit will go towards the family, which is amazing. So massive shout out to Ben and Skeletron and everyone involved in that. Ben and Mark and everyone that's been involved so far. Massive shout out to you guys. Doing a great job, even after the fact that it's been and gone. So amazing work there. And there's going to be a few more reveals they have kind of coming as well. So yeah, keep an eye on that. And we'll be doing a special, kind of almost like a special episode with Ben and the Skeletron guys very soon as well. Big shout out to Kickley for posting this outstanding G.I. Joe the movie piece from the final scene in the Battle at Cobra La. Truly superb. I love it. So big shout out to Kickley on that one. It's been a while since he did a G.I. Joe related piece, so I'm glad that he jumped back in on the Cobra La stuff, because that is an amazing piece there. And also, massive shout out to Carson at 3D Joe's for smashing through the $200,000 mark for the Collecting the Art of G.I. Joe Omnibus Hardcover Edition. Currently sitting at a whopping, I'll be there in a second, thank you. $211,360 with 9 days still to go. Well, G.I. Joe has blown up, hasn't it, the last couple of years? Like, it really has, just stratospheric.
It's crazy. I mean, G.I. Joe and kind of how it spills over. I mean, if you look at, the Marauder Kickstarter, Vietnam Kickstarter was gangbusters. The Skeletron Kickstarter was gangbusters. You've got Carson and 3D Joe's doing gangbusters. It's really impressive, just kind of how much, like we said before, kind of this rising tide has lifted all these boats. It's really fantastic.
Amazing. Anything to say, Pat?
No, I'm already all in on that, so I can't do too much more unless I bought another book. So.
Yeah, amazing. I cannot wait to see where it ends up. And and big shout out to Carsten. We had him on the show. You can check out our interview with him where we broke the news and we talked about the whole thing. It was brilliant. Can't wait for it. Well, there's a lot more kind of things planned as well for backers, so keep an eye on that campaign. It is not over yet. Right then, that brings me to the end of my shout out. So of course, we continue to support the LGBTQ plus community, and as always, stand fast with the Asian and Pacific Islander communities in saying Stop Asian Hate. We do not discriminate against any minority and want the show to be a fun and safe environment for anybody, no matter their background. And to our patrons, viewers and listeners, thank you so much. We truly appreciate all of the amazing support. To our patrons, we've had some amazing Intel stuff recently, and I've just started doing live Q&As, which are going to be like a regular weekly thing. And they've been going down really well, so really excited to be doing those. And you'll have another one coming up very soon after this weekend, obviously in the week. And obviously tons more Intel coming your way. It is amazing. Guys, thank you for jumping on. Truly appreciate all of your help in everything that we do. Thanks, Justin, for jumping on and helping out in the movie section.
No problem. My pleasure. Always like talking movie whenever there's actual movie news to talk about.
Yeah, and then we just go down a rabbit hole, which is great. And Pat as well, mate. Thanks jumping on, bud, as always.
Thanks for having me.
As always. There you go. There's another one. I'll
As always.
I'll have to put like multiple as always on there because I say it constantly all the way through.
It's
okay.
just going to be free space in the middle. We'll just say, as always, free space in the middle.
I'm going to make that bingo card, I swear.
Should.
That brings us to the end of this episode. Thank you for watching The Full Force Weekly. Massive thank you to my awesome co-hosts, Patrick Notpicard Stewart and Justin Generals Joes Bell. See you next time. And as always, after 3, 1, 2, 3... Force. That was the longest. Thank you.
Yours is the longest, Chris.
Well, I thought you had the package. Anyway.
Mine's girth, yours is length.
Right. I'm stopping recording. Make sure you get involved with the discussion by liking, sharing and commenting on these videos, and as always you can keep up with the show after listening by following on Twitter @TheFullForce, liking the Facebook page facebook.com/TheFullForce, and if you would like to contact the show you can message us on either of those platforms with feedback and questions. We also have a Patreon page, so if you want to show your support for the show, see your name up in lights on these videos, or enjoy exclusive bonus content, then check out patreon.com/TheFullForce podcast, or click on the link on any of the posts this podcast appears in. Full Force.